Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Three Sisters. This is a game designed by Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle and published by Motor City Gameworks. Nick is going to give a brief overview of how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Three Sisters is a 1 to 4 player game. Let's learn how to play Three Sisters. We're set up for a 2-player game. We know that because we have 4 dice. If you were to have a 3-player game, it would be 5 dice and 6 dice for a 4-player game. So we're here in round 1. We're going ahead and put this marker here in the first spot of this rondel, so the bottom left, to mark where the lowest die is going to go when we roll. So how we play this game, we're going to first roll this dice in this phase, and then we'll order them in this area here. So the lowest number, we're going to do this in ascending order. Like I said, the lowest one is going to go with that token, and the next one is going to get the 3s, they'll be there, and the next one is going to get the 5s. Then we can go ahead and move this token to the next spot for next round. That we know that we're going to start here next round. From then on, the first player is going to draft which die they would want. And what they're doing is they're drafting not only the action that they're above, but also that die because they want to either plant or water in that garden based on the number that they picked. So if I want to pick this 2, I will go ahead and either plant or water in garden 2. Well, it's the first turn of the game, so we're definitely going to plant because the action of planting is marking down the very bottom square, the very first area of one of these fields. We have to, has to be the first one, it has to be starting, just like you would expect intuitively on theme, is you'd have to plant first. So you have to make sure it's the very beginning of one of these fields. On our board here in this area here, this is garden 2, this would be garden 1, you can see it up here, the numbers right there. So I'm in garden 2, we have different things going on. So we have pumpkins that are on the perimeter of the board. You can see all those with an orange good symbol right there. Those are all pumpkins. Those will not score you victory points at the end, but they do have their own little bonuses. These, with our 4 high, are corn. And if you have a complete row of corn, you're going to get 3 points. If you have a complete row of beans, which are the 2 high next to it, you get a point. Note that when you do this, you cannot make any beans until you have at least 2 corn filled adjacent to it right there, next to it in that little field. So I'd have to have 2 X's right there. So planting, again, is marking the first one. If I were instead to choose to water, which I could not do now because I haven't even planted anything, but if I were to choose to water and I did have some X's, let's say I had X here, here, and here, I could then put an X above it. So now I have 2 of those boxes filled. And when I do that water, that's not just 2. Unlike planting, where you can just do 2, you can water anything that has an X on it. That would grow that 1 box higher. So that's your choice there as far as planting or watering. Down here, let's get into the pumpkins actually. So if we were to do pumpkins, we fill out this from, again, the bottom to the top, just like we would over here in the corn and the beans. Bottom to top. So if I did this one here, I would need at least 2 of those X's to go ahead and get this reward, which is a good. And goods are marked on this sheet, this second sheet right here. We'll get more into that when we get to the second sheet. When you fill out an adjacent, you can see there's a little perennial symbol right there, like a tulip it says. You can then take that as well. So if you were done here and here, if those were all filled out, then the one in between is going to get crossed out, the tulip, and you're going to mark the tulip, which is right down there. It might be a little hard to see. There we go. You're going to mark the tulip right there, and you can see that gives you a bonus fruit, which is another thing on the other sheet. But all these things are going to give you something or other once you fill them out. And those are all marked here adjacent. That's not the only way to get them, but that is one way to get a perennial down here. To mark off these is to have 2 adjacent pumpkin fields filled up. So that will about cover this. And you see when you get to the top of these, the perennials, you're actually going to get victory points there on the top of things that are ongoing. Some of these are ongoing bonuses. Right here you can see an ongoing bonus. So you get 2 goods every peach you harvest, for instance. And some of these are just get something right now, 2 goods. Now let's look at this sheet. So we have different that correlate with different actions on here on the board, the rondel. So in this instance, I took the action from here, the apiary or the fruit. The apiary up here, you would again start from the bottom going up, and then once you get to a certain area, you can then branch off and go different ways. You can go for the wax, which gives you goods and VP. You can go for honey, which is straight fastballs, all VP right there, baby. Or you can go for the split hive, which gives you VP and then other abilities. So again, you're filling this up and getting those. Fruits down here, pretty basic. You got VPs for apples. You got peaches, which every other one gives you water. And what the water does, because I've already explained that. So you get a free water on a garden. You got blackberries here, which are again, all fastballs, VPs, nothing there. And raspberries, which gives you goods and occasionally will give you VPs as well. So you can get fruits. So it's my choice if I want to mark down one of these fruits, or if I want to start at the apiary and try to work my way up to maybe get some honey, for instance. All right, that is apiary or fruit. You know what this one is because it's plant or water. Shed time. All right, shed. Shed is going to give you bonus points maybe during the game, like this, 1 per blackberry harvest. In the mason jars, you get 1 good. Or it might give you VP for the end of the game, like this. The casserole dish gives you 1 VP per 2 beans that you make at the end of the game. So these are just different abilities here, either end game or during game. That is shed. So you're marking out these. It's not official until you complete the markings, obviously. So I haven't earned this until I have the 2 marked. The circle always indicates that is complete. That's the end of the road for these. All right. Compost and goods. Compost and goods is straightforward. You get 1 compost, 4 goods, and you're done. Compost is marked here. They give you a plus or minus when you spend them on a die, and those will rotate too. So your 1 can become a 6, and your 6 can become a 1 for a cost of 1 compost. So it is a plus or minus 1 for compost. And the 4 goods, you already know what that is. That's down here. So another thing that's good about the goods is when you hit those stars, you actually get bonuses. So every time you hit a star, you can mark off anything on your board aside from the garden. You cannot do a bonus action on your garden. You cannot mark anything here, but you can mark anywhere else when you hit these stars on the good track. Also good about the goods is the next action. The next action of Farmer's Market. Farmer's Market is based on your goods. How good is the farmer's action for you? It is all based on the goods that you have here. So you can see that there is a little chart that tells you what you can do if you have a certain amount of goods. And that is the last action of this. So let's recap this because there's one more thing at the very end. We're going to recap this. We first decide which one we're going to draft, what dice, and that gives you the action, the plants, and all that. And then we are going to do an event. The event is stuff you already know for the most part. There's 8 events because there's 8 rounds. So the first one is just a shed action. No problem, just mark down a shed. Rain. Rain is the same as water, except obviously it's raining everywhere. So you're watering all 6 of your gardens. Same concept though. Farmer's Market, you already know. Shed, you already know. Yep, you already know all these. You're going to place 8 rounds, and that is going to be how you play Three Sisters. We're going to take it back up top and tell you what we think.
All right. Thank you, Nick, for teaching this roll and write game. So this game is something I hadn't heard of. Nick said, "Oh, you didn't see the buzz about this? Did you hear about this game at all?" And I guess it flew under my radar. But Nick is a little bit more in tune of the gaming happenings. So this thing showed up the other day, and we decided to give it a roll. I really enjoy these games right off the bat. I am predisposed to roll and write games. I like the quickness of the games. I like how simple they are, and I find them very relaxing. So right off the bat, I have a predisposition to roll and write games. So my first impression of the game, I really liked the artwork on the cover of the box. I thought it was really cute looking and really stands out. And having 2 sheets on the roll and write, I said, okay, there's a lot going on here. But as soon as Nick started going through the rondelle actions and the dice and what they do, I felt, wow, there's a lot of chaining off here, which is exciting. I do like to mark off a lot of X's and chain off different combinations and get points. So that right away is an immediate pro for me on this game. I felt it was very rewarding. Every time you took an action, you also got to get the least action, whatever was left over. We were playing with 2 players, and it was fun to be able to do additional actions at the end of the round, rain, shed, or the farmer's market, and kind of try different combinations of the game to try to win. So those are a few like Fast and Furious pros right off the bat for me. Did you have any first initial thoughts or good things you want to say about Three Sisters?
Yes. So first I'm going to say I am the opposite. I am not a huge fan of roll and writes. It was a kind of a risk to even purchase Three Sisters because it's a roll and write. I'm not particularly fond of the class of games. I'm just not. In general, there are some exceptions out there, but very few. So, take that what you will. Once I played this, it does flow nice. This game really does. With the amount of choices, that's the key thing. Because a roll and write can flow nice, but usually there's not that many choices then. Mm-hmm. This one has a nice amount of choices, and the decisions is very well done. I like that you have two things going on with your dice. You're not just doing the fields. You're not just doing an action. You're doing both those, and you're getting another action. So you're getting a lot of action each turn if you think about it. You're doing an event at the end as well.
Yeah.
So you're triggering one dice. You're getting the dice that the other person doesn't want, and with those, you're doing two different actions. You're doing either a plant in water, or you're doing the action on the board, and then you do that again for the lesser dice that no one took, and you're doing the event, and you're gonna do this 8 times, and I like that. For a roll and write to do this much is really impressive. It is a very strong design for a roll and write. So immediately impressed with the choices and the flow of this game.
Yeah,
Negatives?
I agree with you on the flow of it.
More positives?
Well, I just wanted to sort of tack on to what you said.
Okay.
I do like the flow of it. I like getting points. I enjoy different, like I said, strategies. There's areas of this game that we played a few times that I haven't even tried yet, which I'm excited to try out as a different strategy or a different decision to make, because I thought I liked getting goods, but you want to go for these perennials, and my garden scores need to get a little higher. So it's like a personal challenge in a way to sort of up your last score and try to get better and better, because we started off kind of low, but then as we got better and better, the scores were really showing that. So that's always exciting to see, like a progression or an upward trajectory in a game.
Yeah.
So that is a pro for me. Cons?
Well, we both had that progression, though, I'll say. We both had that, and it was pretty evident when our first scores, and we saw the example, like, ooh, we're going to get better, I hope.
Yeah, you
and
said
we did
that, yeah.
Immediately. And yeah, a lot of choices. So even in the garden action, there was plenty of choices there. So yeah, what do you got for cons?
Yeah, and I like the raining that you get to, you can anticipate that you're going to be able to grow the plants. So you kind of like, Nick likes to spread out into all the zones and hope that those plants will get to the full potential. And it's neat how there's certain rules on beans with these corn plants, and I really thought it was cool. Cons of the game, I don't have many really. I guess I wish I won more. I wish I could get a higher score, but that's just to get better at the game, but that's not against the game at all. I don't know. There's not much for me to say on this one. I don't have a lot of negatives at all. I didn't think the graphic design was poor. I thought it was put together well. It's organized nicely. Things were obvious to me what I was getting, although in the perennial section, if I had to stretch, if I had to reach for a con, maybe it was just not understanding some of the stars that were just printed on the board, and it was later revealed afterwards what that meant, and it got a little chaotic sometimes with managing, like, did I get that bonus? And then I'd question myself, and I would think, I don't know if I did that, but I don't want to just exit off and be dishonest, so I don't think I did that extra action, or I didn't get that reward, and then you have to do some auditing. But that's really, I think, a symptom of maybe not paying full attention while you're playing, or that's just a Vic issue. Okay. But I thought sometimes it was a little chaotic with all the points and chaining off.
All right, I got a couple cons. First one being the rule book. It seems a little scattered. For how simple this game should be, it seems a little bit off. It's going different ways. It's like, I'll come back to that later. And then there's a whole section later in the book. It doesn't really tackle it as it goes. A strange choice, but that is what it is. And I don't think actually those stars necessarily did come to light after reading the rule book.
Okay.
The stars on the goods came to light.
Okay.
So that came to light, that we can take everything, except we cannot do garden action when we hit the stars on the goods section of the board. The random stars here, I am not sure exactly what those mean, so we didn't actually use them. I'm not sure if it's a solo thing or if it does imply something with that, but I don't think it does with the stars and the goods.
Yeah, I didn't read the rule book, so he was the one inferring the rules to me, and so that's what I thought we had settled on that, but the stars did create, there was some confusion at first.
With these grayed out stars that appear randomly on these perennials, and I think they even appear randomly on the other sheet.
The goods, too. Well, the goods aren't great.
We know what the stars and the goods mean. That means you can cross out anything other than a garden. Another negative, looking at your garden, if you don't know much about the rules and you just look at that garden, what is corn, what is beans? These are all just circles and squares. I wish there was something handled a little bit better about that, because it doesn't. There's nothing there for me to distinguish a corn and a bean other than reading a rule that says, well, the beans can still go 2 high and the corn can go 4 high. I look at this and say, okay, there's 4s and there's 2s.
I agree.
That's not corn and bean to me. That's
we'll have to put a picture of that up. Yeah.
Yeah. If you cannot see it, I'll put a picture of it. But I think you can see there's just circles and squares in this field, and that's a decent con.
Why didn't they make them corn shaped? Like instead of the square, like it could have been like a corn stalk behind it.
Even just one, just the corn, and you don't need the beans. Then I know the other one's beans.
Yeah, because you're right. Because I was at first asking, I'm like, so this is a bean or this is a corn?
It's a decent con as far as when you're first playing and you're looking at that, and you have to find the spot that says, okay, 4 for corn. You need at least 2 to get to the beans. The beans are the ones to the right.
Then Nick, you were looking at the other thing, like, oh, pumpkins are over here, and then
and they are pumpkins, but that little thing is just a symbol for goods, and they're orange, just like a pumpkin would be. But at least it's in the right section, so you're not gonna get confused there. But yeah, those are my negatives. So scores, Vic, what you got in this one?
So this is a fantastic roll and write game for me. I really enjoy it. I like the theme. I think it's really cute. I like the rondelle. I like having multiple actions to play and going through, chaining off bonuses and striving to get better each time, as I said. So I'm giving it a 9.1. Very strong score for me. Again, relative to other roll and write games, like I'm not competing against, a Scythe or a Carpe Diem. I'm not stacking this one against, because it is what it is. It's a roll and write game, but it's probably my favorite roll and write game
of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My score. I agree with Vic. It's the best roll and write game I've ever played. It's an 8.8 for me. I've never played a better one, and I hate it a little bit just for 2 things. I kind of express those things because I criticize, I guess, the ones I love. I don't know. I love this game. I think it's a really strong roll and write that you're doing so many actions with. It flows so nicely, so that hits, because games I like have a good flow to them. They don't feel like a rocky road when I play them. Mm-hmm. This one doesn't feel like that. Adding up the points at the end can be a bit much. Mm-hmm. You have so much stuff going on, but the whole experience, the whole game, as a complete package, is my favorite roll and write I've ever played. So strong score for a roll and write, an 8.8 for me, and a 9.1. Wow. Yeah,
we're strong on this one.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy roll and write games or you've played this one, let us know in the comments below your thoughts about it. And did you want to add
one
something?
Thing?
Yeah.
Before we go, I have played Fleet the Dice game. That's the same designers.
Yeah.
We sold Fleet the Dice game. It's fine. It's an okay game. Mm-hmm. This one is head and shoulders above that. Mm-hmm. If you even like Fleet, you gotta try this. I can't stress that enough. That Fleet didn't really hit amazing for us, so that's another reason I was tentative to buy this. And I wanted to point that out because people love Fleet, and this is a better game than Fleet to me, and by a decent margin. So yeah, I just want to throw that in. I didn't want to forget about that.
Yeah.
Go through the whole video without even mentioning Fleet.
Exactly. Well, if you disagree with Nick and you want to fight him in the comments, go ahead, add that. Yeah. Add that in the comments if you want to disagree. And like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.